Good day, dear students. Today I'm going to lecture about methods of foreign language teaching as a science. And there are 2 points I'm going to focus on. The first one, aims, content, principles of foreign language teaching. The second point is main or basic methodological concepts. The word method primarily means way or manner of doing something. It is a word of international currency borrowed into all European languages, throughout the Latin methodos from the Greek methodos. Methods of foreign language teaching is understood here as a body of scientifically tested theory concerning the teaching of foreign languages in school and other education institutions. The English word method is likewise used to designate a branch of study. Methods, as a branch of study, is a science of ways or manners of teaching. Methods of foreign language teaching is a science of method teaching foreign languages. It covers 3, sometimes 4 main problems. The first one, aims of teaching a foreign language. Why to teach a foreign language? The second problem, the teaching of speaking should be delayed until comprehension skills are established. The third one, methods of techniques of teaching, is that how to teach a foreign language to attain the aims in most effective way to meet modern requirements. And the last one, whom to teach. We must distinguish between general methods and special methods. By general methods we mean the methods dealing with general problems of foreign language teaching, irrespective of the language taught, whether it's English, German, or French. By special methods we mean methods of teaching of a particular foreign language, that is, the teaching of definite foreign language is treated. The English word method has accordingly 2 meanings. It expresses, as does the corresponding Russian word, a way of doing something, and unlike the Russian word, the branch of knowledge and study which deals with ways of teaching. In the first meaning, besides denoting a more or less complex procedure consisting of series of interconnected acts, the English word more often than its Russian counterpart is employed to designate a single teaching device or a single form of procedure in teaching. In its second meaning, the English word, usually specifically qualified, may denote the body of the ways of teaching, any subject instruction, foreign language generally, any particular foreign language, or any particular aspect of instruction in a foreign language, such as speech, reading, phonetics, grammar, and so on. In pedagogical process, the term methods is used in 3 meanings. In its first meaning, it means the subject of instruction. For example, tomorrow we have methods according to the timetable. The second meaning is the sum total of all ways methodological of instruction. I like our teachers' methods. In the third meaning, it means the theory of instruction and a special subject. In this slide, I'm going to talk about connections of methods of foreign language teaching to other sciences. Methods of foreign language teaching are closely related to other sciences such as pedagogy, psychology, physiology, linguistics, and some others. Relation to foreign language method to pedagogy. Pedagogy is a science connected with the teaching and education of the younger generation. Since methods also deal with the problems of teaching and education, it's mostly closely related to pedagogy. To study foreign language teaching, one must know pedagogy. One branch of pedagogy is called didactics. Didactics studies general ways of teaching at schools. Methods as compared to didactics studies the specific ways of teaching a definite subject. Thus it may be considered special didactics. Pedagogy is a science or general theory of the bringing up and teaching of children and the young. In other terms, the science of education in the narrow sense and instruction or of education in a wider sense. It consists accordingly of two main divisions, educational pedagogy and instructional pedagogy, of which the latter is called didactics, otherwise methods or method. In foreign language teaching, as well as in teaching of mathematics, history, and other subjects taught in school, general principles of didactics are applied and in their turn influence and enrich didactics. For example, the so-called principle of visualization was first introduced in teaching foreign languages. Now it has become one of the fundamental principles of didactics, and its use in teaching all school subjects without exception. Program instruction was first applied to teaching mathematics. Now, through didactics, it's used in teaching many subjects, including foreign languages. It is the task of the specialists in methods of teaching foreign languages not only to seek for the best method of imparting to the pupils knowledge and skills and of training them in good habits, but also to look out for the best means of educating the pupils through the subject with whose teaching he is concerned. Pedagogy is applied science. Both divisions of it, in all their parts, in particular foreign language method, are applied psychology. In foreign language teaching, the teacher forms and develops in pupils pronunciation habits, lexical habits, and other habits. These habits is a result of the repeated action in the same line. Pupils can acquire habits by constant steady drill. Therefore, the teacher should remember, when organizing pupils' learning, the drill should be constant and accurate. This implies correct copy, clearly presented and easy for imitation and reproduction, given under motivating conditions, which favors repetitions, which will lead to skill. Since skill is the ability to do something well in a language learning skills, a pupil ability to use the target language for communicative needs, the teacher should form and develop such language skills, listening comprehension, speaking, reading, and writing. Let's talk about connection method with psychology. One cannot develop language skills like listening, comprehension, speaking, reading, and writing of our pupils effectively if we do not know and take into account the psychology of habits and skills, the ways of forming them, the influence of formerly acquired habits on the formation of new ones, and many other necessary factors that psychology can supply us with. Since bringing up and teaching children are particular modes of combined physical and mental activity, it's clear that psychological principles must largely contribute to the theoretical foundation of pedagogy in general, of methods of teaching in particular. Pedagogy and psychology may be said to overlap each other and, like two interesting circles, to have a common area which domain bears the name of education psychology. This relationship may be represented graphically as follows: pedagogy, educational pedagogy, psychology. At present, we have much material in the field of psychology which can be applied to teaching a foreign language. Zinkin, a prominent Soviet psychologist, in his investigation of the mechanism of speech, came to the conclusion that words and rules of combining them are most probably dormant in the kinetic center of the brain. When the ear receives a signal, it reaches the brain, its hearing center, and then passes to the kinetic center. Thus, if a teacher wants his pupil to speak English, he must use all the opportunities he has to make them hear or speak it. Furthermore, to master second language is acquire another code, another way of receiving and transmitting information. To create this new code in the most effective way, one must take into consideration certain psychological factors. Effective learning of a foreign language depends on to a great extent on the pupil's memory. That is why a teacher must know how he can help his students to memorize successfully and retain in the memory the language material they learn. Zinchenko, a Soviet psychologist, came to a conclusion that this memory is retentive. Consequently, the teaching a foreign language, we should create favorable conditions for involuntary memorizing. Being connected with the psychology, methods of foreign language teaching takes into account functions of the brain and the higher nervous system. Ivanov's theory of the higher nervous activity here interrelated series of conditional reflexes of the second signaling system, and the dynamic stereotype bears the direct relation to the teaching of foreign language. Pavlov writes that all human physical activity is the result of the psychological activity of the definite mass of the brain. Pavlov showed that man's higher nervous activity, speaking and thinking, are the functions of a special system of organic structures within the nervous system. Pavlov's theory of conditioned reflexes explains and confirms the necessary for the cultivation of habits, for frequent repetition and revision of the material dealt with in the teaching of all the subject of instruction, in particular in the teaching of foreign language, where those precepts are of special importance. Consequently, one of the forms of human behavior, speech responds to different communication situations. Therefore, in teaching foreign language, we must bear in mind the pupils should acquire the language they study as a behavior, as something that helps people to communicate with each other in various real and situations of intercourse. Hence, a foreign language should be taught in through such situations. Pavlov's theory, dynamic stereotype, also furnished the psychological basis for many important principles of language teaching, for the topical vocabulary arrangement, for example. In this slide, I am going to talk about relations of methods of foreign language teaching to linguistics. While linguistics is a science, language as a subject of instruction is not a science but an activity. Methods of foreign language teaching is most closely related to linguistics, deals with the problems which are paramount importance to methods with language and thinking, grammar and vocabulary, the relationship between grammar and vocabulary and many others. Methods successfully used, for example, the result of linguistic investigation, the selection and arrangement of language material for teaching. They can, no doubt, that all the branches of linguistics, like phonetics, the two divisions of grammar, morphology and syntax, the two lexicology and syntaxes, can furnish useful data to foreign language method. Many prominent linguists have not only developed the theory of linguistics, but also tried to apply it to language teaching. The following quotation may serve as a proof of this. It has occurred to the linguist as well as to the psychologist that the foreign language classroom should be an excellent laboratory in which to test new theories of language acquisition. Methods of foreign language teaching, like and any other science, have definite ways of investigating the problems which may arise. They are: the first one, a critical study of the ways foreign language were taught in our country and abroad. The second problem, a rough study and summing up of experience of the best foreign language teachers in different types of schools, experimentally with the aim of confirming and refuting the working hypotheses and may rise during investigation. Experimenting becomes more and more popular with methodologists, and experimental methodologists have to deal with different data. That is why, in arranging research work, they use mathematics, statistics, and probability theory to interpret experimental results.